Jean-Jacques Rousseau was a man of deep thought and strong opinions. He was born in Geneva, a city influenced by Calvinist beliefs, and his early life was full of instability. His mother died when he was a baby, and his father left him. As a young man, he moved to France and found himself under the care of Madame Warens, a woman who shaped his character. His time with her, along with his later experiences in Paris, led him to question society and develop his unique ideas. He became involved with influential thinkers, including Denis Diderot, and contributed to the famous Encyclopédie with an article on music. He was not just a philosopher, but also a musician, a writer, and even an opera composer. One of Rousseau's most important ideas was the concept of the general will. He introduced this idea in his famous book, The Social Contract. He believed that a government was only legitimate if it was based on the collective will of the people. Unlike other thinkers such as Hobbes and Locke, Rousseau argued that individuals must submit to the general will for the good of society. He thought that people in their natural state were free, but needed to come together to form a better society. However, he also warned that this meant individuals would sometimes have to be forced to be free when their personal desires conflicted with the needs of the community. This idea has been both praised and criticized, as it has been used to justify both democracy and totalitarian rule. Rousseau believed that before civilization, humans lived in a state of nature where they were free and equal. He argued that inequality began when people started to compare themselves to others and desired more than they needed. In his work Discourse on the Origins of Inequality, he explained that jealousy and competition were major causes of social divisions. He believed that private property led to corruption, and that laws should be based on what was best for everyone, not just a few. Rousseau's ideas about education were groundbreaking. In his book Émile, he outlined how children should be educated to grow into free and moral individuals. He believed that education should focus on developing a child's natural abilities rather than forcing them into strict rules. Ironically, despite his revolutionary thoughts on education, he abandoned his own children and placed them in an orphanage. Rousseau believed in popular sovereignty, meaning that the power of a government should come from the people. He criticized monarchies and aristocracies, saying that a government should serve the common good, not the interests of a small group. He disagreed with Montesquieu's idea of separating government powers into multiple branches. Instead, Rousseau thought that one elected body should make decisions for the whole society. A key part of Rousseau's theory was the idea that individual justice had to be diluted for the sake of the general will. This means that personal opinions about fairness must sometimes be sacrificed to achieve what is best for everyone. He argued that true freedom comes not from doing whatever one wants, but from following laws that reflect the common good. This was a bold idea, and it has influenced many governments, including those that shaped the American and French revolutions. Despite his influence, Rousseau was a controversial figure. His belief in the general will inspire both democratic movements and totalitarian regimes. Leaders of the French Revolution, including the Jacobins, used his ideas to justify radical changes and even violence. At the same time, his work also inspired modern democracy, as it emphasized the power of the people. Throughout his life, Rousseau faced exile and conflict. His works were banned, and he had to leave France. He was later invited to England by the philosopher David Hume, but their friendship ended in disagreement. Rousseau spent much of his later life feeling persecuted and misunderstood. Rousseau left behind a legacy of complex and thought-provoking ideas. He argued that people must unite under a common interest, even if it means giving up some personal freedoms. He believed that true freedom could only exist under laws that serve the entire community. His ideas continue to shape discussions about democracy, justice, and individual rights. His work challenges us to think about the balance between personal freedom and the needs of society. How much should we give up for the greater good? How do we ensure that the general will truly represents the people? These questions remain as important today as they were in Rousseau's time.